The idea of the existence of a vast southern continent that balances the Earth has roots in deep antiquity. Great scholars of the ancient world, such as Aristotle and Ptolemy, formulated hypotheses about the balance of the Earth. In their view, the Earth was a harmoniously arranged sphere, where one part complemented the other, and if there were vast lands in the northern hemisphere, then something similar must exist in the southern hemisphere. Terra Australis, the southern land. During the Renaissance, there was a renewed surge of interest in the scientific achievements of antiquity, which combined with the onset of the age of great geographical discoveries, revived the fascination with the mysterious Terra Australis. Maps created by scholars such as Laurence Finet and Gerardus Mercator, the creator of the famous projection still used in cartography today, included a massive continent occupying almost the entire southern hemisphere. However, even the boldest cartographers of that time could not imagine how harsh and impenetrable the real Antarctica would turn out to be. Their Terra Australis was mere speculation, a warm, fertile land inhabited by unknown peoples. Reality, however, proved to be far more severe. Icy deserts, storms, and extreme temperatures capable of killing a person in mere minutes. Yet it was precisely these myths and hypotheses that served as the compass guiding explorers southward to the edge of the world. The history of the discovery of Antarctica is not only a tale of triumph, but also a series of failures that made the final success even more significant. The first to approach the icy borders of the southern continent was Amerigo Vespucci. In 1501, while exploring the coast of South America, his expedition unexpectedly encountered vast ice fields. Vespucci wrote, "The cold was so intense that no one could endure it." He did not even suspect that an entire continent might be hidden behind those ice barriers. His expedition became a harbinger of future challenges. Nearly 3 centuries later, in 1775, the famous British navigator James Cook undertook one of the most ambitious attempts to reach the southern lands. His expedition reached the Antarctic Circle, but impassable ice and storms blocked the way forward. Even such an experienced sailor, who had explored many uncharted regions of the world, was forced to turn back. On the one hand, his observations were pessimistic. Cook was convinced that the lands in the south would never be explored. On the other hand, they served as a challenge for other navigators. They knew that massive ice formations existed in the south, but the question remained, was there land hidden behind them? At the end of the 18th and the beginning of the 19th century, interest in the southern latitudes intensified due to economic and scientific factors. Major powers such as Great Britain, France, and Russia sought geographical discoveries that could not only expand scientific knowledge, but also bring benefits in the form of new maritime routes, resources, and territorial claims. The Russian Empire, expanding its role in global politics and navigation, had already gained successful experience in long-distance maritime expeditions by the early 19th century. The circumnavigation voyages of Krusenstern and Lisiansky, as well as the exploration of Alaska and the Aleutian Islands, had strengthened its position in the Pacific region. However, Russia remained on the sidelines of the colonial race in the southern latitudes, and the Antarctic expedition was seen as an opportunity to discover new lands and establish Russian influence in the southern hemisphere. Emperor Alexander I recognized the importance of maritime discoveries, and in 1819, he approved a plan for an expedition to the southern latitudes. The command of the expedition was entrusted to Fabian Bellingshausen, a talented navigator and participant in Russia's first circumnavigation under the leadership of Krusenstern. Bellingshausen was known for his precision in navigation and his dedication to scientific discoveries. His closest associate was Mikhail Lazarev, a determined and courageous commander, a veteran of the Napoleonic Wars, who also had experience in long-distance sea expeditions. The selection of commanders proved to be entirely justified. The combination of experience and youth, meticulousness, and decisiveness yielded the desired result. Over the course of 751 days at sea, the expedition did not lose a single crew member. This was a unique achievement for an era when scurvy, storms, and shipwrecks claimed lives even under more favorable conditions. For the expedition, 2 specially prepared vessels were selected: the sloops Vostok and Mirny. They were distinguished by their maneuverability and durability. The ship's hulls were reinforced for protection against icebergs. In July 1819, the expedition set out from Kronstadt. The route passed through England, the Canary Islands, and Rio de Janeiro. As they advanced southward, the temperature dropped and icebergs began appearing around the ships. Near South Georgia Island, the crew encountered penguins for the first time, which the sailors caught and used for food. Despite the harsh conditions, the expedition conducted continuous observations of the weather, water temperature, and ocean currents. The meticulous record-keeping later allowed confirmation that it was indeed Bellingshausen and Lazarev's ships that first reached Antarctica. On January 28, 1820, the crew saw an ice wall, an enormous barrier stretching across the horizon. They approached it to a distance of about 20 to 25 kilometers. Visibility was poor, but it was evident that this was not just icebergs, but something greater, a massive expanse of ice, behind which land might possibly be concealed. Bellingshausen and Lazarev realized they had reached something significant, but at that moment, they could not say with certainty whether it was a continent or merely an accumulation of glaciers. In the following weeks and months, the ships moved along the icy continent, repeatedly approaching it and then retreating back into the open sea. In total, the expedition crossed the Antarctic Circle 5 times, coming as close as 10 to 30 kilometers from the shore. They mapped several islands, including Peter the First Island and Alexander First Island, but due to severe weather conditions and impassable ice, they were unable to land. Over the course of about a year, the expedition virtually circumnavigated Antarctica, exploring both its western and eastern coasts. Despite the scale of their journey, the expedition members were not entirely certain that they were facing a continent. They understood that they had discovered more than just an ice field or a group of islands, but they lacked definitive proof that Antarctica was a continuous landmass. Nevertheless, their route provided compelling evidence of a significant landmass beneath the ice. The journey continued until July 1821. On their way back, the expedition revisited the South Sandwich Islands and returned to Kronstadt via Rio de Janeiro. The question of primacy in the discovery of Antarctica was long a subject of debate among various countries. In addition to the Russian expedition led by Bellingshausen and Lazarev, British and American expeditions were also present in the southern seas during the same period. The British navigator Edward Bransfield also sighted the coast of Antarctica on January 30, 1820. The American seal hunter Nathaniel Palmer claimed that he was the first to discover the continent, but his accounts were recorded only in November 1820. In the 20th century, when the issue of Antarctica's territorial affiliation arose, studies confirmed that it was indeed Bellingshausen and Lazarev who were the first to see Antarctica on January 28, 1820. The Russian navigators documented coordinates and mapped the new lands, whereas their rivals were unable to provide such precise and comprehensive data. This ultimately solidified Russia's status as the discoverer of Antarctica. As the successor to the discoveries of Bellingshausen and Lazarev, Russia continues to actively participate in scientific research in Antarctica, maintaining its presence on the continent. The Soviet Union established several research stations in Antarctica, 2 of which, still operational today, are named Vostok and Mirny, in honor of the ships from the first Russian Antarctic expedition.